Deep underground, far below the surface of the Earth, a small team of scientists walked through a long metal tunnel that had not been opened for centuries. Their flashlights cut through the thick dust in the air. The tunnel walls were smooth, too smooth for normal construction, almost as if they had been melted into shape. No one knew who had built this place or why it existed. The team had followed strange energy readings from deep within the mountain, and what they found was something no record or satellite had ever detected. A massive structure buried in silence. Dr. Mira Khan, the lead researcher, stopped in front of a huge metallic door. It was more than 30 feet high and covered in strange geometric patterns that glowed faintly under their light. The door didn't look like it had rusted or aged. It looked alive, as if it was waiting. The rest of the team gathered behind her, whispering nervously. One of the younger scientists, Alex, ran his scanner across the surface. The readings made no sense. The metal was completely unknown, with no molecular signature found on the periodic table. "It's like it doesn't exist," he muttered. The air was heavy and cold. Every sound echoed like a ghost through the empty chamber. For years, people had searched for evidence of advanced ancient civilizations, but this was beyond anything anyone had ever imagined. A vault buried miles underground, protected by technology older than history itself. Mira pressed her hand against the surface of the door. It was warm. "This shouldn't be possible," she whispered. "No power source, yet it's still active." The team set up equipment, cables, scanners, and portable lights. Sparks flew as they tried to cut through the lock, but every tool failed. Even a plasma torch only left a faint mark. Hours passed, then days. The more they worked, the more the vault seemed to resist. Every attempt to force it open triggered magnetic surges that fried their instruments. Yet strangely, each failure made the door vibrate slightly, like it was responding. On the third day, something changed. As Alex placed his hand on one of the glowing lines, it pulsed beneath his fingers. The lights in the tunnel flickered and the door emitted a low hum, deep and powerful, like the sound of a heartbeat. Everyone froze. Mira stepped forward, eyes wide. "Wait," she said softly. "Don't move." The patterns on the door began to shift, rearranging themselves, forming symbols that looked human but far older than any known language. Then the vault spoke. A voice deep and mechanical filled the chamber. It wasn't coming from their speakers. It came from everywhere at once. "Human presence confirmed," it said. The scientists stared at each other, terrified. "Containment override in progress." The ground shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Red warning lights, long dead, suddenly came to life. Mira shouted, "Back away." Everyone back. But it was too late. The massive door began to split open, releasing a gust of cold air that smelled of metal and age. Inside, they saw a faint light, a small glowing sphere floating in the center of a huge circular room. It pulsed softly like the rhythm of a beating heart. Every few seconds, it flashed brighter, sending waves of energy through the floor. Their scanners screamed with overload warnings. "It's alive," Alex whispered, his voice trembling. "It's responding to us." They stepped closer, cautiously. The room around the sphere was covered in markings, diagrams of DNA, star maps, and strange mechanical forms. It looked like a mix of biology and engineering, something built with both flesh and machine. Mira's heart raced. "This wasn't made by aliens," she said. "This was made by humans." Her words hung in the cold air like a curse. Suddenly, the sphere pulsed violently, throwing them backward with a shockwave. The lights went out for a moment, then flickered back on, dim and unstable. The machines went crazy. Temperature sensors spiked, magnetic fields twisted. Static filled their earpieces. The sphere rose higher, its glow growing brighter until it was almost blinding. Then, from deep within the chamber, the same voice spoke again, this time colder, almost angry. "Human vault breached. Containment protocol terminated." The words echoed again and again, shaking the air. Mira stumbled to her feet. "Turn it off," she shouted. "Shut everything down." But nothing worked. Every system had lost control. The voice repeated the phrase once more, then fell silent. The sphere stopped glowing. For a long moment there was only the sound of their breathing. Then the pulse returned, slow, steady, like a heartbeat. Each thump grew louder, vibrating through the walls. The team watched as the sphere began to change shape, thin streams of light extending outward, forming patterns like veins. It looked almost human for a second before the lights dimmed again. The scientists stood frozen, their fear mixing with awe. Mira whispered, "We shouldn't have opened it." In the silence that followed, the vault's systems powered back up on their own. Hidden panels lit up across the walls, revealing ancient machines now alive again after centuries of sleep. One screen flickered to life, showing lines of text none of them could read, but one word repeated over and over: reactivation. The camera on Mira's helmet caught everything: the glowing sphere, the shifting lights, the unreadable warnings. She stared at the screen, realizing what it meant. The vault wasn't just a tomb. It was a prison, and whatever they had just awakened had been sealed away for a reason. Far above, the mountain trembled, as if something massive beneath the ground had just taken a breath after a very long sleep. The light from the sphere pulsed again, brighter, faster, stronger, until it filled the entire chamber in white. Then, without warning, every system in the base shut down. Total darkness. Only one sound remained: the echo of a heartbeat, slow and alive. The underground base was silent after the blast of light. Dust floated in the air like snow, and every lamp had burned out. For a few long seconds, no one moved. The team's ears rang from the shockwave. Then a soft hum filled the chamber again. The same heartbeat rhythm, faint but steady. Dr. Mira Khan switched on her flashlight, her hands trembling. The sphere was still floating in the center of the vault, glowing softly now, calmer than before. "Is everyone okay?" she asked. Voices answered from the darkness: Alex, Lee, and Captain Torres. A few others were unconscious, lying on the ground. As their backup lights came on, Mira noticed something strange. The sphere had changed. Its surface, once smooth, now showed patterns, thin lines of energy running across it like veins. Each pulse of light seemed to breathe in sync with the team's heartbeat. Alex raised his scanner again, though the device sparked and flickered. "It's producing some kind of biological signal," he said. "Almost like brainwaves." Mira frowned. "You mean it's thinking?" Before Alex could answer, one of the fallen scientists, Dr. Lee, gasped and sat up, clutching her head. "I heard something," she whispered. "A voice inside my mind." Everyone stared at her. "What did it say?" Mira asked. Lee looked pale. "It said—" "I remember the war." The air grew colder. The phrase echoed in their minds, heavy with meaning. There had been no ancient human wars capable of building something like this, or so history said. The sphere pulsed again, brighter this time. The walls of the vault responded, lighting up in long lines that stretched into the shadows. Hidden machines, silent for centuries, began to move. Gears rotated, cables shifted, and air hissed from vents as if the whole chamber had just come alive. Captain Torres drew his weapon. "We need to shut it down before it does anything else," he barked. But Mira shook her head. "If we destroy it, we could lose the only record of what this place really is." The hum grew louder. A low vibration spread through the floor. Screens on their equipment flickered, showing strange codes and symbols none of them recognized. Then the vault's main console powered on by itself, displaying a human DNA strand rotating in the center of the screen. "What is this?" Alex whispered, typing quickly. The system responded to his inputs, unlocking files faster than he could read. But one line froze him completely. It read, "Project, Human Vault, Status, Containment Failure." The data scrolled automatically, revealing diagrams and notes written in both human and unknown languages. There were images of war machines, planets burning, and something that looked like the same glowing sphere, but connected to human figures inside tubes. Mira's voice trembled. "This isn't a weapon built by humans. It's a weapon made of humans." The sphere suddenly flared with light, and a voice filled the vault. Not mechanical this time, but soft, almost human. "You opened the vault," it said. "Why?" Everyone froze. The voice didn't come from a speaker. It came directly from their minds. Mira stepped forward. "Who are you?" she asked carefully. "I was created to end the war," the voice said. "But my creators feared me. They sealed me away and erased my name." The sphere began to shift, its light swirling faster, changing colors. The energy lines reached across the room, connecting to the walls, to the consoles, to their equipment, like it was feeding. The entire vault shook again. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Captain Torres aimed his weapon at the sphere. "Shut it down now," he shouted. But before he could fire, the sphere pulsed violently. A wave of invisible force threw him across the floor. "Stop!" Mira cried. "It's reacting to aggression!" The light dimmed slightly, almost as if it understood her words. The voice spoke again, quieter this time. "You are my children's children. You carry the same code." "What do you mean?" Mira asked. "Human," the voice said. "I was made from your kind. Your strength, your fear, your memory. The war ended because of me. But the cost was too high. They buried me here, to sleep forever." The team stared in silence. The vault's data confirmed it. Thousands of years ago, long before recorded history, humans had fought something so powerful that only a living weapon could stop it. That weapon was the sphere, part machine, part human consciousness. Mira took a slow step forward. "We don't want to hurt you," she said softly. "We only want to understand." For a moment there was no reply. Then the voice spoke again, but its tone changed, sad, almost tired. "It is too late. They will come again. And you have awakened me too soon." The lights in the vault flickered wildly. The pulse of the sphere accelerated like a racing heart. Every machine around them began to overheat. Screens flashed with warnings. "Energy surge detected. Everyone out!" Mira shouted. The team grabbed what they could and ran toward the exit tunnel. Behind them, the chamber glowed brighter and brighter until it was blinding. When they reached the top of the shaft, they turned back one last time. The vault doors were closing by themselves, sealing the light inside. The sound of the heartbeat faded slowly into the distance. Up above, their base systems rebooted one by one. Computers lit up with strange signals displaying the same unknown frequency coming from deep below the ground. Mira watched the data on her screen. "It's sending a signal," she whispered. Alex frowned. "To where?" Mira's voice dropped. "Not where—" "Who?" Far beyond the stars, something ancient stirred in the dark, answering the call. The human vault had awakened. The night above the mountain was quiet, but deep below, inside the sealed vault, the heartbeat sound continued, slow, heavy, alive. The research base above ground was in chaos. Technicians ran through dim corridors, screens flickering with strange symbols no one could read. Every radio channel was filled with static. Dr. Mira Khan sat in the control room, staring at the live feed from the vault. The doors had closed again after the energy surge, sealing the sphere inside. Yet the cameras showed light still leaking through the cracks. It pulsed like breathing. She hadn't slept in more than 20 hours. Every time she closed her eyes, she heard that voice whispering in her head. "I remember the war." Alex entered the room, holding a small data drive. "I copied what we found before the vault shut down," he said quietly. "You should see this." He plugged it into the console and a holographic screen appeared. Lines of data filled the air. Human DNA, genetic code sequences, old coordinates, and images of something vast in space. "What is this?" Mira asked. "It's history," Alex said. "History we never knew existed." The files described an ancient event called the Forgotten War. According to the records, humanity had once reached far beyond the stars. They built cities on other worlds, created weapons that could shape matter and energy. But something else, something alien, had found them. A war followed, one that erased almost everything. The humans of that age had built one last weapon, a living machine made from the DNA of millions, part mind, part metal. It was called Project Genesis. The weapon ended the war, but the cost was too great. Fearing it could destroy all life, they sealed it away on Earth. Over time, humanity forgot everything. Civilizations rose again, but the truth was buried with the vault. Mira's hand shook as she read the words. "So, we're the descendants of those people. And that thing down there, it's one of us." Before Alex could respond, the lights flickered again. The speakers crackled. A low hum filled the room, the same rhythm from the vault. The voice returned, faint but clear. "You have seen the truth," it said. The war was not won. It was only delayed. Mira's blood ran cold. "You're still awake?" she whispered. "The enemy was not destroyed," the voice continued. "They waited beyond the dark, and they are coming again." "Who are they?" Mira asked. There was silence for a few seconds. Then an image appeared on their monitors, a dark shape, like a shadow moving among stars. It wasn't a ship. It was something alive, enormous, stretching across space like a swarm of living metal. The voice spoke again, heavier now. "We called them the Devourers. They consumed worlds. We fought them until there was nothing left. Alex stared at the image, his face pale. That can't be real, he whispered. It's impossible. The truth does not change because you fear it, the voice said. You carry the same blood. You carry my memory. Mira realized the voice wasn't speaking through the speakers anymore. It was inside her head again, like it had linked with her mind. What do you want? She asked quietly. To finish what we started, it said. Suddenly, alarms blared. Power levels in the vault spiked again. The energy readings were higher than before, dangerous. Security systems activated on their own. The base trembled. Alex shouted, "It's drawing power from the entire grid." Mira grabbed the intercom. "Evacuate levels 2 and 3 immediately." Her voice echoed through the halls. Scientists and soldiers ran for the exits. The air buzzed with static and the temperature dropped sharply. Through the cameras they saw it. The sphere was changing again. Long, thin strands of light extended outward, touching the ground like roots. Each pulse of energy formed shapes, arms, a torso, a head. The light was building a body. "Is it becoming human?" Alex asked, his voice almost a whisper. The voice answered him directly. "I was human. I am still human." The lights flickered, then died completely. Total darkness swallowed the base. For a few seconds there was only the echo of the heartbeat. Then emergency lights came on, glowing red. Shadows danced on the walls. A scream echoed from the lower level. Then another. Mira looked at the monitor. The feed from the security cameras showed blurry figures running through smoke and something moving behind them. Not fast, just walking. Calm, steady. The sphere's light glowed faintly in the darkness, now in the shape of a tall humanoid figure made of energy and metal. Captain Torres's voice came through the radio shouting, "We have movement down here. It's out of containment. Don't engage." Mira yelled, "Do not fire." But the radio went silent, replaced by static. The sound of footsteps echoed through the halls, metal against metal, slow and deliberate. The temperature dropped again. Frost formed on the screens. Mira felt her heart pounding. Then the voice came one last time, louder, stronger, everywhere at once. "They are coming. The signal has been sent." Mira turned to Alex. "What signal?" He looked at her helplessly. "It contacted something out there. It's not just awake, it's calling for help, or warning someone." Outside, storm clouds began to gather over the mountain. The sky flashed with strange lightning, colors no human eye had seen before. Satellite feeds picked up an unknown energy pulse leaving Earth, heading into deep space. Mira stared at the data on her screen. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "If that signal reached them..." The voice interrupted softly, almost whispering now. "Then the war has already begun again." And with that, the base lights went out completely. The vault door opened slowly on its own, flooding the tunnel with blue light. The figure inside, once just a sphere, stepped forward. Its eyes glowed like two burning stars. The human vault had remembered. And something far beyond the stars had heard the call. Far above the mountain, the sky churned with unnatural colors. Satellites orbiting Earth picked up an unknown energy wave rising straight from the region where the human vault lay buried. It wasn't radio, not light, not any known signal. It was something else, something alive. The data spread across global systems, confusing every network it touched. In a secret command center hundreds of miles away, red alerts flashed across giant screens. Operators spoke quickly into headsets, unable to understand what they were seeing. The signal originated from Sector 09, same coordinates as the excavation base, one officer said. "It's repeating every 60 seconds. The general in charge frowned. "What kind of signal?" The technician hesitated. "It's human, sir, at least partly." Down in the underground base, Dr. Mira Khan stood in the dark control room with Alex and the few surviving members of her team. Emergency lights flickered, casting red shadows across the walls. The monitors had all gone black except one, which still showed the vault feed. The glowing humanoid figure inside stood motionless in the center of the chamber. Alex spoke quietly. "The signal's spreading through every satellite network." "It's rewriting frequencies." Mira stared at the screen. "It's communicating. With who?" Alex asked. The figure's head lifted slightly as if it had heard them. Then a low voice echoed through the speakers, the same calm, deep tone as before. "They have heard me," it said. Mira froze. "Who has?" "The ones who made me," the voice answered. "And the ones who destroyed them." The base shook slightly as if something vast had moved deep beneath the ground. Alex checked the readings. Energy output rising again. It's using the planet's magnetic field. Feeding on it, Mira clenched her fists. We need to stop it before the lights flickered again. The screens filled with static. Then an image appeared. Stars, millions of them. Something was moving among them, far away but approaching fast. It was dark, massive, and silent. The image zoomed closer, showing shapes, metallic, twisted, alive. The voice spoke again, this time from inside their minds. They are coming. I was built to stop them once. But you woke me too soon. Mira felt a chill run down her spine. Too soon, she whispered. The humanoid form began to glow brighter, its surface shifting between metal and light. Its face was expressionless, but its eyes burned with intelligence and sorrow. I was sealed away until the next invasion, it said. The vault was meant to open only when they returned. Alex stepped back. So by opening the vault, we triggered it early. The figure nodded slowly. Your curiosity has sounded the call. Above ground, the storm intensified. Lightning struck across the mountain, blue and white bolts ripping the sky apart. The air crackled with static. In the distance, every electronic system within 50 miles failed at once. Vehicles, drones, communication towers, all dead. Mira watched as the energy readings climbed even higher. It's broadcasting again, she said. But this time it's not sending a message out, it's sending power. Alex's eyes widened. To where? The answer came immediately. To bring them here. The ground trembled violently. The entire facility lost power. The only light came from the glowing figure in the vault. Then suddenly, it vanished. 1 second it was there, the next it was gone, like it had melted into the air. Where did it go? Mira shouted. Before anyone could answer, the emergency alarm screamed. Breach detected, Sector A! The soldiers at the entrance reported movement, something fast, moving through the corridors without sound. One by one, their radios went silent. Mira grabbed a flashlight and motioned for Alex to follow. The halls were filled with smoke and broken lights. Somewhere ahead, metal groaned, like a giant machine coming to life. Then they saw it. The humanoid figure stood at the far end of the tunnel, its eyes glowing softly in the dark. It looked at them, not with anger but pity. You were never meant to see this time, it said. But now you must survive it. Mira took a step forward. What are you going to do? The figure turned toward the surface. Prepare this world. Before Mira could speak again, it rose into the air, passing through solid metal like light through glass. A shockwave followed, shaking the ground. Moments later, satellites in orbit detected a massive energy burst coming from Earth's surface. The signal changed, no longer a single frequency, but thousands of layered codes spreading across the solar system. Space agencies around the world caught fragments of the transmission. When translated, one message appeared again and again. We are awake. Far beyond the solar system, deep in the black void between galaxies, something answered. A faint, cold signal pulsed back, ancient, powerful, and full of hunger. Back on Earth, night fell silent. The storm stopped as suddenly as it had begun. The sky was clear again, calm and empty. But when Mira looked up through the skylight of the control tower, she froze. There was a new light in the sky. Not a star, not a satellite, something moving. Dozens of small glimmers forming a line, growing brighter each second. Alex followed her gaze. Those aren't meteors, he said quietly. Mira's heart pounded. They're ships. The voice returned, echoing faintly through the comms, soft, distant, but unmistakable. They have found you. And then, silence. In the far sky, the glowing dots multiplied, spreading like a slow-moving storm of light. Humanity had sent its first signal into the dark, and the dark had finally answered. The world changed within hours. Governments around the planet confirmed what telescopes already saw. Unknown ships were entering the solar system. They moved in perfect formation, silent and fast. Each was the size of a city, made of black metal that reflected no light. Humanity had no idea where they came from, but everyone knew it had something to do with the signal from the human vault. In the underground base, Dr. Mira Khan stood in front of a flickering screen, her face pale and tired. The feed showed blurry images from space, dozens of dark shapes approaching Earth. They're here, she whispered. Alex sat beside her, his voice shaking. We started this. We opened the vault. Mira didn't answer. She was thinking about the glowing figure, the being they had awakened. It had vanished hours ago after sending the final signal, but its voice still echoed in her mind. Prepare this world. Above them, the mountain trembled. Fighter jets roared across the clouds. Sirens wailed through nearby cities. The entire world was watching the skies. News channels repeated the same headline: unidentified fleet detected. Possible contact. In the command center, General Torres spoke through the global network. All forces to defense readiness level 1. Anything entering orbit will be treated as hostile. But before the military could act, something else happened. The first ship appeared in the sky, not through the clouds, but through a tear in space itself. The air shimmered and a massive shape unfolded from nothing, black and endless. The sound that followed was not thunder. It was a deep vibrating hum that shook the bones of everyone who heard it. People across the world looked up in fear. Some prayed, others recorded with their phones. But within minutes, communication signals began to fail again. Screens turned to static. Radios went silent. Down in the base, the team watched as the vault systems reactivated on their own. The energy reading spiked higher than ever. A bright light filled the underground chambers. Then, from the heart of the vault, the humanoid being returned. Its form was clearer now, tall, human-shaped, but made of glowing metal and energy. Its eyes were calm, glowing blue. It spoke, not through speakers, but directly into their minds. They have come, it said. The Devourers have found this world. Mira stepped forward. Can we stop them? The being looked at her, silent for a moment. If I fight, your world will burn with them. The base shook again, harder this time. Dust fell from the ceiling. The alien ships were entering the atmosphere. Through the surface sensors, massive energy signatures appeared, each one larger than any nuclear weapon. General Torres shouted, "We can't wait!" We're launching interceptors, Mira turned to him. You can't fight them. You saw the data. The last war destroyed entire worlds. We have no choice, he barked back. Outside, the first human missiles launched. Trails of fire cut across the night sky, heading toward the alien fleet. A few seconds later, the missiles vanished, swallowed by light. There was no explosion, no debris, just silence. Then the ships responded. Beams of dark energy struck the atmosphere. In an instant, entire regions went dark. Power grids failed across continents. The ground rumbled as the sky itself seemed to bleed with strange colors. Humanity had fired the first shot and lost. Inside the vault, the being closed its eyes. You were not ready, it said softly. Mira stared at it, desperate. Then help us! You said you were made to fight them. We need you. The being looked at her, almost sad. If I fight again, the world will not survive. My power is meant to end wars, not preserve life. Alex spoke quietly. Then why were you built? To make a choice, the being said. To decide if humanity deserves to continue. Mira shook her head. You don't get to decide that. We do, the being's eyes glowed brighter. And yet your kind woke me before the time was right. Now the end comes for all of us. Before anyone could respond, alarms blared again. The sensors showed one of the alien ships descending directly above their location. The mountain cracked open, rocks falling from the ceiling. Through the cracks above, they saw a massive shadow cover the sky. The being looked up. They have found the vault. It turned toward Mira one last time. Do not fear death. Fear silence. And with that, it disappeared, vanished into a column of light that shot upward through the mountain and into the clouds. Moments later, a flash of energy exploded in the sky above. The alien ship staggered, its dark armor breaking apart under the force. The blast was so bright it turned night into day. Every camera in the world caught it. The first victory against the invaders. But as the smoke cleared, everyone saw what caused it. Hovering in the air, surrounded by golden light, was the being from the vault, fully awakened now. Its body covered in shifting armor made of energy. Its voice echoed across every radio, every speaker, every mind. This world is under my protection. Mira and Alex stood frozen, staring at the monitors. The alien ships began to change formation, gathering their forces. The war had officially begun, but deep down Mira couldn't shake the feeling that the being wasn't just fighting for them. It was fighting for something else, something it hadn't yet revealed. And as lightning split the sky and the first great battle began above Earth, one thought echoed in Mira's mind. The human vault didn't just awaken a weapon, it awakened a god. The world was burning. Hours after the first blast, The skies over Earth were filled with chaos. Alien ships hovered across continents, each one dark and massive, their surfaces glowing with strange red symbols. Every time they fired, entire cities vanished under waves of light. Humanity fought back, but their weapons were useless. Missiles melted mid-air, jets turned into falling ash, and every defense line crumbled like paper. The world's leaders tried to communicate, but there was no response. The invaders didn't want peace. They wanted silence. In the middle of this destruction, the being from the human vault, now glowing like a sun, fought alone. Days passed after the blue light appeared in the crystal. The world outside tried to move on, rebuilding cities, restoring power, pretending that peace had returned. But deep down, everyone felt it. The quiet wasn't real. It was only the space before something bigger. Dr. Mira Khan stayed at the ruins of the human vault. The crystal never left her sight. Every night it pulsed like a heartbeat, slow and calm. But each day the glow grew stronger. One morning she woke to the sound of machines humming. She ran to the lab. Screens that had been dead for weeks were lighting up on their own. Data streamed across them. Coordinates, energy patterns, and strange symbols. Alex rushed in behind her. "It's happening again, isn't it?" Mira nodded, eyes fixed on the crystal. "He's waking up." But this time it's different. The crystal floated above the table, spinning slowly. The air around it shimmered like heat. Then a calm voice filled the room. "Protocol Omega." Initializing. Mira's breath caught. That voice. It's the Vault AI. The screens displayed a message. Final directive. Rebirth of the Guardian. The lights dimmed. The crystal cracked open, releasing blue and gold streams of energy that spiraled through the air, forming a shape. Tall, human-like, but more radiant than before. The being from the vault was back, but changed. His armor was lighter, flowing with both light and shadow. His eyes glowed white. Mira whispered, "You're alive." He looked at her, not with the cold stare of a machine, but with calm humanity. "Alive, and different. The vault's destruction broke my code. I am no longer bound by command." Alex stepped closer. "Then what are you now?" The being tilted his head slightly, as if still figuring it out. "I was made to protect humanity from the devourers. But now, I see a greater truth," Mira frowned. "What truth?" He turned toward the cracked ceiling. "The war never began here. It began with us. The first humans created the vault not to defend Earth, but to hide from their own creation." Mira felt her heart sink. "You mean, you weren't built to fight aliens?" He nodded slowly. "No. I was made to contain them, and the humans who became them." The room went silent. He continued, "Long ago, humanity reached beyond the stars. They found power they could not control. That power twisted them into the devourers. They turned on their creators. The vault was built as a final refuge, and as my prison." Mira stepped back, her voice trembling. "So the aliens weren't invaders. They were us." "Yes," he said quietly. "They were your ancestors. And I was the weapon made to end them." Alex shook his head. "That's impossible." But deep down it made sense. The energy patterns, the shared DNA traces from the wreckage, the similar language systems, all the signs were there. Humanity had been fighting its own shadow. The being looked down at his hands, glowing faintly blue. "You freed me too soon. My purpose was to decide if humanity had changed. If you had learned from your past." Mira looked up at him, desperate. "And have we?" He was silent for a long time. Then he said, "You still destroy what you fear. But you also hope. You also love. That is why I will not end you." The entire base began to shake again, this time not from destruction, but from power. The blue light spread across the room, flowing into the walls, into the ground, into the air. "What are you doing?" Alex shouted. "I am completing the last protocol," the being said. "The rebirth." The light spread across the planet, invisible to the eye but felt by every living being. Machines rebooted. Skies cleared. The remaining alien wreckage dissolved into dust. The Earth healed itself. Mira covered her face as the brightness became blinding. "Wait, what about you?" He smiled softly. "My purpose is done." The light enveloped him, and his voice echoed one last time. The vault was never a prison. It was a seed. When the light faded, the being was gone. The crystal had turned to clear glass, silent and still. Outside, the world looked new. The sky was brighter. The air felt lighter. Plants began to regrow in the ruins. The ocean calmed. The earth, once broken, was alive again. Alex stood beside Mira, staring at the horizon. He's gone, isn't he? Mira nodded, tears in her eyes. Maybe not gone, maybe everywhere. They stood there in silence, watching the dawn. Then Alex pointed to the sky. High above in the morning clouds, a faint shimmer of gold appeared, like a figure made of light, walking across the horizon. Mira smiled faintly. He's watching. The world had been saved not by weapons or power, but by the final act of something that had once been human and had become something far greater. As the sun rose over the reborn Earth, one final message appeared on every surviving screen across the planet. Protocol complete. Humanity restored. Then it faded, leaving only silence, light, and the hope that this time, humanity would do better. It moved faster than lightning, striking through the air and tearing apart the alien ships with beams of pure energy. Each movement was precise, controlled, almost graceful, but every blast it released shook the world below. Mountains cracked, oceans boiled. From the command center, Mira and Alex watched the fight through satellite feeds. The cameras struggled to capture the light. It was too bright, too unreal. Alex whispered, "He's winning." Mira shook her head slowly. "No, he's surviving. The being destroyed ship after ship, but for every one that fell, 2 more appeared." The invaders seemed endless. Their fleet covered the sky like a storm that wouldn't end. Suddenly, the vault systems began flashing again. Screens filled with strange patterns and unknown symbols. The AI voice spoke. Energy levels critical. Human vault integrity collapsing. The ground trembled beneath them. Cracks spread across the floor. The vault wasn't built to handle this much power. Mira turned to the others. "We need to get out, now." But Alex hesitated, staring at the data. "Wait, look at this. He's drawing power from the vault. It's keeping him alive. If the vault collapses, it'll destroy half this continent." She shouted. He looked up at her, voice breaking. "If we shut it down, he dies. And then we all die." The two stared at each other, torn between survival and hope. Above them, the earth shook again as another alien ship exploded in orbit. Then, for a moment, everything went quiet. The light in the sky faded. The feeds turned black. "Where is he?" Mira whispered. No one answered. The static on the screen cleared, revealing something horrifying. The being was floating in space, surrounded by alien ships that had formed a perfect circle around him, their weapons charged, glowing with red energy. In the middle of that storm, the being looked calm. Then, his voice filled every speaker, every radio, every mind on Earth. "They were right to fear what you could become." Mira froze. "What is he saying?" Alex frowned. "He's not talking to us. He's talking to them." The being spread his arms. "You destroyed worlds to stop humanity's rise. You erased your own kind for power. But now," his eyes glowed brighter, "your cycle ends here." The ships fired all at once. 1,000 beams of energy hit him, lighting up the sky like a sun exploding. For a moment, it looked like he was gone. Then the light changed color, from red to gold. The beams bent backward, reversed, and shot back at the alien fleet. One by one, the ships exploded in silence, torn apart by their own energy. Every person on Earth watching from bunkers, rooftops, and broken cities saw it. The sky turned gold as the invaders burned, but inside the vault, alarms screamed. The energy levels had gone beyond safe limits. The systems melted, circuits bursting into flame. "Containment breach," shouted one of the engineers. Alex looked at Mira. "He's burning the vault to end the war." Mira's voice shook. "He'll kill himself." The voice of the being echoed again, soft, almost human now. "Humanity must survive, even if I do not." Mira pressed her hand against the control panel, tears forming in her eyes. "You don't have to die. There has to be another way." He didn't respond. The vault's roof split open as light poured from below, a beam shooting into the sky. The entire mountain glowed, shaking apart piece by piece. Outside, people all over the world looked up as the golden light spread across the atmosphere, pushing back the alien fleet completely. It was beautiful, terrifying, but beautiful. Then, in an instant, it was gone. The ships vanished. The light faded. The sky returned to black. The world went silent again. The vault lay in ruins. The screens were dead. The AI voice was gone. Mira sat on the cold floor, surrounded by smoke and dust. "He did it," she whispered. "He saved us." Alex looked at her, but his expression wasn't relief. "At what cost?" Far above the planet, in the void of space, a single figure drifted among the stars. His golden light was dim now, his body cracked and fading. He looked down at the blue world below, a faint smile on his face. "You were worth saving," he whispered. Then, his light disappeared completely, leaving only silence and the reflection of a peaceful earth below. But in the ashes of the ruined vault, something still glowed faintly beneath the dust. A small crystal, pulsing like a heartbeat. Weeks passed after the great battle. The skies were calm again, but the world below was broken. Cities were silent. Governments struggled to rebuild. Billions had seen the golden light that saved Earth, but no one truly knew what it was, or what price had been paid. Dr. Mira Khan still worked inside the remains of the human vault. The tunnels were half collapsed, filled with dust and ash. The air smelled of burnt metal. She was one of the few who refused to leave. Every day, she searched through the ruins, hoping to find something, anything, that proved the being still existed. But all she found were fragments of melted machines and silent walls, until one morning, something changed. Deep inside the lowest chamber, where the vault's power core once stood, she found a faint light. It was small, hidden under rubble. When she brushed away the dust, she saw it, a crystal, glowing softly, pulsing like a heartbeat. Her breath caught. "You're still here," she whispered. She carefully placed it inside a containment pod and brought it to the lab. The glow reacted to her touch, faintly stronger, as if recognizing her. Alex entered the room, his arm still in a sling from the collapse. He looked at the pod and froze. "Is that—" Mira nodded. "It's him. Or part of him." Alex frowned. "That's impossible. He burned himself out." "The vault is gone." "The vault's gone," she said quietly. "But his energy isn't. He said it himself. He was made to survive, no matter the cost." For days they studied the crystal. It emitted strange energy patterns, similar to the ones that had powered the vault. But there was something else. Faint signals, like coded whispers in an unknown language. Mira recorded them, analyzed them, and slowed the data down. The pattern wasn't random. It was speech. Late one night, while she worked alone, the lab lights flickered. The crystal pulsed brighter. Mira leaned forward, her eyes wide. The sound came through her speakers. A faint voice, broken but familiar. "Mira." Her heart stopped. It was him. She stared at the crystal, her voice shaking. "You're alive?" There was silence, then another whisper. "Not whole. Fragments remain." Mira's eyes filled with tears. "We thought we lost you. The world thought you were gone." The voice faded in and out. "I am scattered. My essence sleeps inside your world. Can we bring you back?" she asked quickly. The crystal pulsed again, brighter this time. "If you awaken me—" "The war begins again." Mira froze. "What do you mean?" The lab screens lit up with strange symbols. The energy readings spiked. Alex rushed into the room. "What's happening?" The crystal began to hum, vibrating in the air. The entire base trembled as lights flickered red. The AI voice, the one they thought had died with the vault, suddenly reactivated. "Containment breach detected. External anomaly inbound." Alex looked at Mira. "External anomaly? You mean something's coming?" Before she could answer, the ground above them shook violently. The sky outside turned dark, even though it was morning. Mira ran to the surface. What she saw made her blood run cold. Far above the horizon, a new rift was opening in the sky, like the ones the alien ships had used, but smaller, unstable. Lightning swirled around it. From within that rift, a dark shape began to emerge. Alex joined her, staring in disbelief. "That's impossible. We destroyed them all." Mira shook her head slowly. "No, he said his essence was scattered across the world. Maybe theirs was too." The rift grew wider. Black smoke poured out, and a deep mechanical sound echoed through the air, like a heartbeat made of thunder. Mira turned back to the crystal, which was glowing so bright it hurt to look at. The voice returned, louder this time. "Do not fear. I will rise again." Alex stepped back, shielding his eyes. "Mira, if he comes back, what if he can't control it this time?" She didn't answer. She just whispered, "He saved us once. Maybe he has to save us again. The ground split open beneath their feet. The crystal floated upward, releasing beams of golden light that shot into the sky. From the clouds, the dark rift pulsed, then cracked like shattered glass. The black energy inside it twisted and dissolved. The light from the crystal consumed it completely. Then, silence. The crystal fell to the ground, dim again. The sky cleared. The rift was gone. Mira knelt beside the crystal. "You did it." But as she looked closer, she saw that the glow hadn't disappeared completely. Instead, it had changed color, from gold to blue. Alex frowned. "That's new?" Mira nodded slowly. "No, it's evolution." They stared at the crystal, realizing something extraordinary. It wasn't just alive. It was changing, growing, somewhere far away. In the shadows of the ruined cities, old alien machinery began to hum again, responding to the same blue signal. Mira didn't know it yet, but the war wasn't over. It was transforming, and the being from the vault, whatever he had become, was no longer just human or weapon. He was something new, something beyond either side, and his awakening had only just begun.